So, good morning, everybody. This is our course Principles of E-commerce. Before 2 weeks, we were talking about the second chapter, and there were some topics that we haven't finished. So what we will do today is just to finish this topics from chapter 2, and we will proceed to chapter 4. So I will I have already uploaded 2 videos which talk about HTML and XML. So those videos are from my course Introduction to eTrade. So in those videos, in these 2 videos, you will learn about HTML and XML and their contribution in e-commerce. So I will just go a little bit fast over this because it's technical and there are some codes. We cannot do that here, but you can exercise on your own. So I will mention one website. This website is called www.w3schools.com. Okay, so you can go to this website and learn about HTML more. Okay, so let's begin with this. So last time we stopped here, the development of hypertext. So HTML means hypertext transfer, hypertext markup language, right? So this means hypertext markup language. So in programming, we have you know what is programming language, right? And we have scripting language, and we have markup language. So HTML is categorized under markup language, and it's a little bit different from programming language. So, but I will not talk about the technical details. You'll find the difference between these 3 in the video that I have already uploaded in chapter 2. Those are additional videos that I have uploaded. So HTML are sets of codes or tags attached to a text. So what are these tags in hypertext markup language? So you can find in HTML, okay? So we will talk about that. They describe relationships among text elements. So from the name hypertext language and markup language, hypertext means it's a document that is linked, okay? And when you click on this document, or when you click on this hypertext link, they will take you to a different page or the same page on the same website, okay? Let's assume you are on Yahoo or Google. Then you know this blue colored lines. So when you click on this blue color link, or mostly they are colored blue, so they will take you to a new website, or they will take you to a different page on the same website. Those types of documents are called hypertext documents, and they have this hypertext link. So they point to you to another location or another website or another web page or the same or another HTML document, okay? So you're watching this document, then next page of this document might be viewed, or totally different document or different website will be displayed. So that these are called hypertext documents or hypertext links. Okay. So and web browsers. So most of you are already familiar with this, so we'll not waste much time here. You know what web browsers are. They are softwares that we use to view HTML documents, right? So, for example, the first web browser was by Netscape, right? And we have, for example, Mozilla Firefox, we have Internet Explorer, we have Google Chrome, we have Torch. All these are called web browsers, and they are prepared in a way that they can display these hypertext links or tags in their file. Okay. And HTML document, there is no specification of text element appearance in HTML document. So this graphic user interfaces in HTML documents presents program controls, output to users, and input from users. So graphic user interface means, for example, there is a Gmail, right? When you type in gmail.com, I mean the email website. So first, what comes first is a prompt for entering your username and password. Okay, you enter username password, then you will view your emails, right? So that is called the graphic user interface, where users input some data into the website, and the website displays some information to the user. Okay, so that is the graphic user interface. And World Wide Web, so we have already talked about www. It is a network of networks. It's the best example for, I mean the best thing out of the internet, or internet has created www, where it is www means a web of documents, right? So we have already talked about this. So it has gained a quick acceptance in scientific research community. And the first GUI or graphic user interface program was Mosaic, which is able to read HTML documents, used HTML hyperlinks for page-to-page navigation, and it was the first web browser widely available for personal computers. Okay, and so again, www, it is easy to access internet information. And the first, as I've said, the first web browser is Mosaic, and as I've said, it was from Netscape. And there was Internet Explorer for Microsoft, and there was Mozilla, which is a descendant from this Mosaic or the Netscape Navigator. Okay, so soon this www came into existence, or when it became very acceptable by the scientific and research community, then the number of websites grew very rapidly, right? There were so many websites, because now it makes it easy for businesses to communicate with their customer, or to easily transmit information from the business to the customer or trading partners. So there was a rapid growth than the internet itself. Okay, then you can see here how websites have grown. Okay, so here there are 250 million websites for or 50 billion web pages. So this was like in 2011, 2012, right? So I hope you differentiate what is a website and what is a web page, right? So website is the site, right? So website might contain one or more web pages, right? So web page is a page that is able to display hypertext documents, right? And website is a collection of web pages. So for example, we have a Swan University website, right? www.swan.ac.kr. So this is the URL for Swan University website. But within this website, after you open this website, you might find so many web pages, okay? Web pages about course adding and dropping, web pages about notices, web pages. So that's why we have 200, there were about 250 million websites, registered name websites, and there were about 50 billion web pages, which means which are contained in this 250 million websites. So commercial businesses web using has increased. So especially from 2010 to 2011, the number of websites have doubled. Okay. And what is deep web? So deep web means, for example, as I've said, in Gmail, when you access gmail.com, okay, www.gmail.com, then you will be asked username and password, right? Then after you enter your username and password, then this username and password is checked against the username and password that you have saved or you have used when you create the Gmail account, right? So this information will go to the database of the Google company. Then it will check the username and password. If the username and password is right, then they will display the information or email that was stored by this username and password and display it on your page. Okay, so this information is stored in a database and is accessible to users through a web interface is called a deep web. Okay, so so many companies, for example, they registers their customers' information, right? That is a deep web because you enter your name, address, phone number, this information, and that information will be stored. And in the future, this information will be used while interacting with you. So that is called a deep web. Then there are domain names. So as we have said, this is a URL, right? So I guess last week I have already talked about domain names, right? So if you remember, this is what we call a domain name, right? And we have said that domain name is a name by which your website is stored or saved on the server, okay? So just like for Swan University, we have www.swan.ac.kr, and this is our domain name, okay? And this is called the top level domain, okay? This is top level domain. And top level domain could be generic and could be sponsored, okay? So let me say, for example, www.gmail.com. So this is the top level domain, okay? And this top level domain is generic. So the difference between generic and specific is, so generic means something that is international, okay? For example, if there is a website like www.abc.us, so you know that .us means this website belongs to United States, right? So this is specific. It's not a generic top-level domain, okay? And there are sponsored top-level domains. So .com, .pro, .net are called generic, okay, because they are used internationally, okay? So .pro means for professional, .net means it's an internet company, okay, something like that. and sponsored are unique. Okay, so this sponsored are just newly introduced top level domains. Okay, and sponsored could have any extension like .123 it could be, or .abc or something like that. Okay, but bear in mind that this is the URL and this is the domain name, and this is called the top level domain. And this top level domain, for example, .edu is a generic top level domain. Okay, .us is not a generic, or .kr is not a generic top level domain, because that is specific to Korea or specific to the US. Okay, and there are also sponsored top level domains. Okay, so there is a company that is responsible for this. It is Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers. So they manage this addition of general top level domains, less stringent in recent years. So it is not, it's less strict. So these are the top level domains you can see here. Okay, so from this top level domain, you can identify the generic and the sponsored one. Okay, so for example, so this top level domains are also called extensions. Okay, so .com, for example, is generic top level domain, generic top level domain, and this is not generic. Okay, because this is for the US federal government, US. So they are very specific. Okay, they are not generic top level domains. So, and for example, pro is generic. Okay, but these are not generic. So the other important point I would like to mention here is all the countries in the world are represented by 2 characters. Okay, just like we have suwon.ac.kr. So KR means this belongs to Korea, right? And AC means this is an academic institution. Okay, so the extensions for a country are 2 characters. So each country is represented by 2 characters. For example, here AU is for Australia, CA is for Canada, Germany, okay, Finland, France, Japan, Sweden, and United Kingdom. So from the website or from the URL, you can tell where this website is residing. Okay, so if it is .kr, you can easily guess that this is a Korean website. If it is .us, you can easily say, oh, this is a website from the US. If it is DE, you can easily say this website is from Germany. Okay, so the top level domains could contain a country and also the type of business. Okay, so just like here, so this the last one, the last extension is for a country. So KR is Korea, AC is for the type of company it is academic, right? So you can have .gov.kr, for example, gov.kr. If this is a top level domain, this means this is Korea, and gov is a Korean government. Okay, so this means this is a Korean government website. Okay, so from the domain, from the URL, you can tell where this website is from. And the other is markup language in the web. So text markup language, markup tags, okay, HTML documents. So there are, so this extensible markup language. So there was HTML, okay? So you can say HTML 1.0. So HTML 2.0, then 3, 4. Now we are on HTML 5 actually, okay? And mostly we use HTML5 to build websites, okay? And after this we have XML. XML is used usually in building standards for B2B e-commerce technologies. Okay. So extensible markup language or XML is derived from this. So the two videos that I have uploaded will in detail talk about XML and HTML. So I want you to go there and view that video. Okay. So this is how. So now it came to be XHTML. This is the predecessor. Then we have HTML, we have XML, and now we have these two mixed. Okay, so I want you to understand what's the difference between HTML and XML on the video. Okay, and okay, that is just extension of this. And HTML tags. Okay, this is what I want you to study by yourself. Okay, so in this HTML, we can write HTML, this one. Okay, this is the HTML code. We can use text editors to write this codes. Okay, so it's very easy actually. So if I want to build a website, I will just give you one example. So let's say you open a notepad, okay? Any text editor, for example, this one, okay? I don't know if you can see this, but I have opened text editor. And in this text editor, you start with HTML, okay? So each tag, this one has to be opened and closed at the end, okay? Just like this. So this is the whole code. But before the HTML begins, then there is a declaration of document type that is called like this, doc type HTML, okay? Something like this. So in any programming language, you start by declaring variables or declaring what code it is. So just like that in HTML, we begin by declaring the document type, okay? For if it is XML, you have to start with declaring the document type as XML. If it's HTML, HTML. And the other, what follows is, we usually have this, HTML, okay, and HTML ends. You can just simply write this before you code anything, okay? And there is what we call head, and head should be closed. So to close each, these are called tags, okay? These are what we call a tag. So each tag opened should be closed like this. Then after the head, we have body, okay? And body has to be closed, okay? So it is where, this is the body is where you write the content of the website, okay? So in a head tag, you can have a title, okay? Title. So you can say, for example, so on, the title of the website, okay? So title means that when your website is displayed, then the name of the website will be so on, just like that, okay? Then you input your contents, which means the content, the body of the website content will be written here under the body, right? And under the body, you can include headers, you can include paragraph, you can input pictures, okay? For every, for example, to write a header, you have this tag, H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, okay? So H1 ends here. Opening tag, closing tag. Each tag has to be opened and closed, okay? H2, H2, H3, H3. And this is, you see, this is a paragraph, this is a paragraph, okay? Then you can have another paragraph, you can have, this means listing, okay? So this is LI is list, and there, this will be list by default will be a bullet list of items. Okay, then this one, another one will be circle. Okay, and we have a paragraph. You close your body. Okay, so once again, I want you to go to www.w3schools.com. So this is a website where you can even try your own codes. Okay, so for example, here you just type this. Okay, you just type this on Notepad and save your document. Okay, after you finish typing from here to here, you save your document with the extension .html. Okay, so for example, you can save it as first dot you can first.html. Okay, you can save your document like this. Then it will automatically be saved as a web page. Okay, then when you click on that web page, then it will be displayed in one of the browsers you have. Okay, so HTML code is a very easy one. Okay, so I want you to go to so this is how it is displayed. Okay, you've seen here, this is a bullet. Okay, like this, and okay, this is a bullet, this is a number, right? And you have this a paragraph. This is first H1, this is H2, this is H3, right? So we already have here H1, H2, H3. Okay, so that is how it is displayed on your browser. And this is the paragraph which is here, right? And we have this one which is written here, and this paragraph, and we have this list and this list and this. Okay, so you just save this document as HTML and it will open in your browser. Okay, extensible markup language. So that's it. So you can just HTML text editors. So the other thing I want you to read here is after the HTML, there is internet connection options. Okay, so here there are different varieties of how we can connect to the internet. Okay, so long time ago we connect through our telephone lines. That is called a dial-up connection, right? If you remember. Now I don't think we use dial-up connection in Korea, right? So dial-up connection is very slow connection because you can only transmit a maximum of 50 to 56 kilobytes per second. Okay, so there are different companies that provide us with an internet connection, right? So these companies are called internet access providers or internet service providers. So it could be KT, or it could be SKT, or it could be OLHE. So these are called internet service providers. Okay, so they provide internet access to individuals, businesses, and organizations. And there are several connection options. Okay, you can connect to the internet through broadband. You can use leased line, or you can use other means of connection. Okay, so here it talks about connectivity overviews. Okay, so common connection options are voice grade telephone lines that I've said we don't use this anymore because this is the slowest one. And there are various types of broadband connection, leased line connection, and wireless connections. Okay, so you know Wi-Fi. So Wi-Fi is Wi-Fi means wireless fidelity, right? So this is a wireless connection, and also we use Bluetooth. Okay, so there are so many various types of connections. So the distinguishing factor of this different types of connection is the bandwidth. So bandwidth means the amount of data that connection can carry, right? So for example, you say we have 4G, 5G, or this broadband, this leased line, okay? So what determines the connectivity of this different options is the bandwidth, which is the amount of data that could travel through these lines per unit of time. Okay, so some connections, for example, allow 1 gigabyte size of data for uploading a document, and they give only 0.5 gigabyte or 500 megabyte of size of data to download. Okay, so sometimes the download and upload speed could be different, and also the capacity of the connection to carry data could also be different. Okay, as I've said, for example, voice grade telephone lines carry about 56 kilobytes per second. That is a lower bandwidth. Okay, but if you take broadband connections, they can carry hundreds of megabytes of size of data per minute. Okay, or per unit of time. And the net bandwidth is actual speed information. And as I've said, symmetry. So there are two types of connection. Symmetry means it provides the same bandwidth in both directions. In both directions means to upload and to download. Okay, but so this, if a connection is symmetric, it means that you have the same speed, like 1 gigabyte to upload, 1 gigabyte of speed to download. Okay, but if the connection is asymmetric, it means that there is different bandwidths for uploading and downloading. Okay, because uploading is from your computer to the internet, downloading is from the internet to your computer. So if your connection is using different bandwidths, then it is called asymmetric connection. Okay, and if it is using the same, it's called symmetric. And this upstream bandwidth is to upload, okay, and downstream is to download. Okay, and if this is different, you call it asymmetric. If it is the same, you call it symmetric, right? And voice grade telephone lines, as I've said, these are old ones. So its bandwidth is between 28 and 56 kilobytes per second. It means this old telephone service or voice grade telephone connection means if you see on telephone line, there is RJ11, okay, or this cable that you use to connect to the telephone line with your telephone, right? So you just take that, and all the computers, desktop computers, have this a place where you can insert this RJ11. Okay, so I hope you differentiate what is RJ45 and RJ11. RJ45 is the one that we use for internet connection or network. Okay, big one. RJ11 is a small one, which is from a telephone line. So all the computers have a modem. So I'm not sure how many of you know modem. Modem is a modulation demodulation device. So that all desktop computers have this modem. So you take the telephone line, connect it to the modem, then you have internet connection. Okay. So that the maximum bandwidth is 56 kilobytes per second. That is very small, right? And after that, digital subscriber lines came, which have higher grade of service, and they have their own modem called DSL modem. Modem means modulation demodulation, which means modulating data from your computer to the internet and demodulating data from the internet to your computer. Okay, and there are integrated service digital network. So the first technology developed using this digital subscriber lines. Okay, so I'll go fast over this again. We have to finish this within 2 minutes. Okay, leased line connections. So that's it, I guess. I want you to read this. Okay, it's not most of the connection you are already familiar with. For example, with wireless connection, you're familiar with Bluetooth. You are familiar with Wi-Fi. You're familiar with access points. Okay, access points where you access the Wi-Fi. Okay, so Wi-Fi, you can limit the range, right? The distance in which this Wi-Fi could be accessible. So there are access pointers. From this access pointers, each Wi-Fi device has the capacity to reach some limited number of distance. Okay, and there are city Wi-Fi's. For example, if you go to Gangnam City, the city has its own wireless network. Okay, so that is a big one. So you know what is a Bluetooth, and before Bluetooth, for example, if you remember that there was what we call infrared, okay, a long time ago. So phones use infrared before Bluetooth, okay, and infrared you have to face your phones like this, because in infrared it needs a direct line of transmission from the sending computer to the receiver. And there came a Bluetooth where you don't need this facing of devices, because Bluetooth can reach some range of distance. Okay, and ultra bound, so Wi-Fi's also have different capacities. Okay, and access points are there. So, and these are different varieties of Wi-Fi. Okay, I want you to read this, to go through this by yourself. So I will go. So this is the summary. So take a 5 minutes break, and I will be back with chapter 4. Okay, so we will start the 4th chapter. Okay, so after 5 minutes.